Welcome back, everyone. I'm the host. And tonight we have 3 extra special, terrifying tales of creepy things caught on camera for our special event. Things that shouldn't be caught on camera. Our first story is post-divorce isolation. I moved out to an abandoned farmhouse in rural Tennessee after my divorce. It was my great-grandmother's place. She passed away a few years ago, and it had just been sitting there. I figured I'd take a leave of absence from my job and just stay there for a while to heal. It was a big house, over 3,000 square feet, so plenty of room for me to get lost in. But the house was very, very quiet. A little too quiet. There were definitely some animals in there, mice, raccoons, spiders, etc. But at night, I started hearing footsteps, dragging sounds, doors opening and closing. The house was very old and settled a lot, so I didn't think much of it at first. But then I started finding cabinets wide open, doors open, things like that. I thought it would be funny if I stayed in one room and tried to catch whatever was going on my ring camera, so I did. I propped the door open so the camera could see the doorway and went into the other room. Well, sure enough, within 10 minutes, I heard something in the hallway. I didn't want to go see what it was. I just sat there watching the camera. Whatever it was, it opened the door all the way and walked into the room. It didn't make a sound. I couldn't make out any shape or form. I tried setting up motion sensor lights, but every time I would set them up, they would die. Either the batteries drained completely or the connections would come loose. After 2 weeks, I had had enough. I called the sheriff and told him what was going on. He said that he'd drive by and check it out. As he was walking through the house, he went into the attic access door, which had been closed and locked since I'd been there. He came back down, looking shaken, and told me that somebody had been living in my attic. He found cigarette butts, food wrappers, a half-empty bottle of rum, and the most disturbing thing, still burning cigarette. Apparently whoever it was had gotten spooked by the police presence and ran. We looked everywhere, but the person was gone. Ended up spending the night at a hotel and didn't go back to that house ever. Now, about a month ago, I was going through some stuff in my basement, and I found that same bottle of rum. I haven't gone back to that house. The sheriff never found out who it was. Whoever it was had obviously gotten out through the woods behind the house. There are no windows in the attic. Our next story is the silent man on the route. I work as a rural postal carrier in Alabama, and one of my routes is a long stretch of dirt road that runs alongside a wooded area. Normally, this part of the route isn't too bad. It's uneventful. However, there was always a strange man standing on the shoulder of the road, staring at the houses as I drove past. I noticed him one day and thought it was odd, but I kept driving. This continued for about 2 weeks, and I started getting concerned because he never moved. He would always be standing motionless in the exact same spot. Every time I'd passed him, I slowed down, rolled down my window, and asked if he was okay. He never responded. He didn't seem to acknowledge that I was there. I even stopped my truck and got out to see if he needed help. I hollered at him, and he just stood there looking at me. It was weird. Eventually, I got scared and just kept driving. I stopped delivering mail to the end of that road and turned around and delivered the rest of the houses on another route. I thought that was the end of it until I started finding blank envelopes in my home mailbox. They weren't addressed, they weren't stamped, and they had no return address. I thought maybe someone thought I was trying to steal their mail or something, and these were just a warning. But then one night I heard loud banging coming from inside my house. My wife and I checked everywhere but couldn't find anything. Figured maybe it was some kids messing around. Then one morning I found one of those envelopes in my kitchen. I hadn't seen that one before. I knew whoever was putting them in my mailbox was not from around here, because I've lived here my whole life, and I know everybody. I figured maybe it was someone passing through. But then one evening, I was reviewing the camera footage from my front porch. It was that same guy. He was standing on my porch looking through the slot in the door to see if I was home. I called the police and told them what was going on and showed them the footage. They said there was nothing they could do unless they caught him doing it. So I quit my job, we moved out of that house, and rented a place in town. But every once in a while, I will be driving somewhere, and I'll see that mailbox where the trailer used to be. And sometimes, when I look in it, there will be a blank envelope waiting for me. Our next story is the rocking chair. My grandfather had major surgery, so I flew out to his cabin in North Dakota to stay with him while he recovered. He lives deep in the woods and is pretty isolated. Lives in a small cabin with only one other room besides the kitchen that has a locked trapdoor in the floor. The entire time I was there, he warned me not to go down there. And after the third time he told me, I I finally asked what was down there. He just said something about it being private and that I should stay out of it. The night before I left, I was sitting in his recliner watching TV. The chair is old and makes a lot of noise when you rock in it. I could hear chains, squeaks, and springs. Well, I started hearing the chain rocking slowly and steadily back and forth. I thought it was my grandfather, but he was sleeping in the other room. I went into the other room and yelled for him. He didn't respond. I went back into the living room and the chair was rocking slowly. I saw a pale figure sitting in the chair facing forward, but whenever I blinked, it was gone. When my grandfather woke up, I told him what I'd seen. He looked kind of scared and he said, "You didn't go down there, did you?" I told him I hadn't. He then took out his phone and showed me a video he'd taken of the chair rocking on its own. He'd taken it earlier that day. I asked him if he'd been down there and he said no. He said he had no idea what was going on. He was still pretty loopy from the anesthesia. So I just went along with it and chalked it up to some weird drug-induced hallucination. The next morning I went out to the cabin nest well to fill up the water tank and I saw the bucket from the trap door sitting nearby. I picked it up and dusted it off and sure enough there was a face on it, but it was upside down. So I flipped it over to look at it better and there was another face. This one was right side up. It was the same pale face I'd seen in the chair. My grandfather must have seen me looking at the bucket because he came out and asked what I was doing. I told him I was just admiring the fine craftsmanship. Didn't say anything. He just went back into the house and went back in after him and told him to show me that video again. He seemed kind of reluctant, but he played it. It was the same grainy video of the chair rocking back and forth slowly and steadily. But now there was a figure sitting in it. It looked just like the picture on the bucket. He turned the chair away from the window, and then he took it out of the room altogether. Neither of us said a word, and neither of us has mentioned it since. I don't know what was in that room or what that chair meant. Maybe it's not important to know. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you liked this episode, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. And let me know what you think. I'm the host. Stay alert out there. I'll see you in the next nightmare.